Hi, I'm Deborah Bruce with the Research Services Office of the Presbyterian Church.
Deborah, thank you for joining with us today for this podcast series. Today I want us to talk about the U.S. Congregational Life Survey that you had a part in putting together. Tell me something about it.
Sure, Grady. The Research Service Office has been doing surveys for congregations for many years. In the past, when we gave results back to congregations, they'd often want to know, well, how did we do? Were we great or were we just average? And we had to say, we really don't know. The U.S. Congregational Life Survey provides benchmarks against which we can compare congregations when they take a survey. We had random samples of congregations that included everybody from Baptists to Catholics, Methodists, Presbyterians, and others. It represents the full diversity of religious life in America today. In every congregation that participated, everybody who came to worship on the day the survey was given filled out a survey. So it represents what worshipers as a group have to say about their congregations. So that provides a benchmark against which we can compare survey responses. But in the random sample, there aren't enough Presbyterian congregations for us really to say much about what's going on in our congregations. So we included a random sample of Presbyterian congregations as well. Now when congregations do a survey and get the results back, they can see how their worshipers' responses compare to the national benchmarks and also compare to the Presbyterian benchmarks. And we encourage congregations to look at their results to see where they are above average, to focus on what their strengths are, and to use those strengths to become stronger in other areas. Any congregation can take the survey now, and if they contact our office, we'd be happy to work through the details with any congregation.
Sounds like a very useful tool for congregations to have.
We provide a lot of resources that go along with their survey results so that they can use them to make changes in their congregation.
The part I'd like to concentrate on for our little interview, since this series is about where we're going as a church, is the chapter, the Congregational Identity and Vision section of the book you put together about this. And from your research, what do people value in their church, in their congregation?
We asked worshipers which 3 things from a list of 15 they most value in their own congregation. And for Presbyterians, 3 stood out. Number 1 is the sermons. So it's the message that they're hearing from the pulpit on Sunday morning. It's very important to people. Number 2 is the traditional style of worship or music. So it's the gestalt of what's happening in worship. And it is a traditional style that most people prefer, not surprising given that more than half of our worshipers are over the age of 60, and they tend to prefer traditional music and worship. The third thing that people value in their congregations is sharing in the Lord's Supper. So it's interesting that all 3 of these items have to do with worship, and the message to congregations then is that they really need to focus on providing an excellent service every single Sunday.
That's good. That goes along with what I've heard and met with in other congregations. Are people hopeful about the future?
People are hopeful about the future. If congregations and people in our congregations are thinking that the best days are in the past, that's not a good situation. But what we found is that 7 in 10 worshipers agree with the statement, I'm excited about the future of this congregation. So they see something on the horizon that really is something positive for their church.
On page 100, there's a square that has something called the myth trap. It's about congregations and change. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Sure. The myth is that congregations are not interested in changing, that they're very stable and static places. And that's simply not true. From the results of the survey, we found that a majority of worshipers say that their congregation is always interested in trying something new. And most of the rest of the people just said that they're not sure, maybe because they're new in the congregation or because they're not as involved as other people. The other question we asked that ties into that question is what they think about the future of their congregation. And 6 in 10 worshipers said that their congregation is either already moving in new directions or getting ready to do that. And so that's a very positive statement about congregations.
I agree. Well, I want to thank you in Research Services for the great work you're doing and for how you're helping us to get an accurate reflection of ourselves to kind of cut through some of the myths and the negative language we have. And thank you for being part of this interview today.
Thank you, Grady.
Okay.